Well, you know what they say, there's no replacement for displacement.
Yeah, actually there is. Oftentimes, new riders or people who just don't understand engines very much will make the stupid statement that there is no replacement for displacement, which is giving the assertion that the bigger the engine, the more powerful it is. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that that's not always the case. Now, I can understand where the misconception comes from because in most cases it is true. However, it is not the rule that the bigger engine is the most powerful, and I'm going to be explaining why that is in this video, and I'll be showing you some examples. Actually, let's start off with an example here, and this is one that I hear all the time from new riders. If you guys have seen my new beginner bike video, then you would know that I advocate for starting on a 600cc is a bad idea. However, in that same video, I suggest a new rider can start on a Ninja 650 or an FZ07. Now, some of you are very confused with this statement, saying that the 636 was a bad idea, but then stating later on that the 650 was a good idea. I mean, how does that make any sense? The 650 has an extra 13 cc's of displacement. It should be a terrible bike for a new rider, even more so than the 636. One thing you guys have to realize is the biggest difference between these engines isn't displacement, but it's cylinders. If you haven't seen my engine configurations video, then I'll leave a link in the description for you to check out. It basically explains all the motorcycle engine types that are common out there and their pros and cons. So think of it this way. An inline-4 engine, like the one that's seen in the 636, cranks out roughly 130 crank horsepower and revs out to 15,000 RPM. Now, the bigger Ninja 650 is a parallel twin or inline-2 engine for the layman. The 649cc Ninja produces roughly 68 horsepower and revs out to about 12,000 RPM. So even though the 650 has extra displacement, it is lacking a number of cylinders, which will dramatically change the way the power is brought in by the engine. So in conclusion, the 650 is a slow beginner bike that weighs more than the 636, has a better seating position, less aggressive ergonomics, a far more beginner-friendlier power band, and in general is just an easy bike to start on, and it's not a race bike. So that is why I said that starting on a 650 is better than starting on a 636, because Kawasaki made the 636 in the idea that it's a track bike and the 650 as a commuter bike. There's a difference. Now I'm going to give you guys another example here of a bike that confuses a lot of people, and that is going to be the CBR600F by Honda. Now some of you might say, well, the Ninja 650 is a great beginner bike, that means all 650s are, but that's not true. The Honda CBR600F is an inline-4 as well, just like the CBR600RR. Now, to be fair, it's very detuned compared to the 600. The CBR600RR makes about 118 crank horsepower, whereas the 650F makes about 90 horsepower, which is still way too much for a beginner. Another example out there is the big Harley V-Twin. Now, these bikes have over 1300 cc's of engine displacement, but they struggle to make even 70 horsepower on most of the models. And then on the other hand, we see 600cc bikes that make 130 horsepower, well, the 636 at least. So you really cannot judge how quick a bike is only on engine displacement, because some bikes with half the displacement make double the horsepower. Now, of course, there are more to the equation than number of cylinders and displacement. You also have timing, cam profile, valves, exhaust intake, bore and stroke, etc. There's so many factors involved. That's why you see power differences comparing the R1 to the CBR1000RR, even though both engines have the same displacement and number of cylinders. It's all about how the power is brought in, when it's brought in, how quickly it brings up the power, how quickly it revs, how reliable the engine is. All of these factor in to how an engine is produced and tuned from the factory, and that's why you see discrepancies between horsepower even when two bikes have the same displacement and the same number of cylinders. So that's it, guys. I hope this video cleared up some confusion. Of course, there's going to be comments about you guys correcting me about how super precise I'm not being, but keep in mind this video is for those who are genuinely do not understand the difference between a 600 and a 650 and struggle with the idea of a 600 being faster than a 650. So this is just supposed to be a basic overview of why a 650 is slower than a 600. So thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please remember to leave a like, and if you have any suggestions on a video you'd like to see me make, leave it in the comments, and maybe I'll make it for you guys. So anyway, thank you again for watching. Take care, and bye-bye.
Let me live my life, the one I'd better lead. All the plans of fantasies, and we looked at them 11 ways. You said, look at me, and